Despite Iranian media reports claiming talks have stopped, the U.S. Says the negotiations with Tehran remains rather active. Trump dismissed reports of a breakdown, saying the discussions have continued every day, while Marco Rubio told lawmakers that Iran is for the first time willing to discuss aspects of its nuclear program. Rubio also reiterated that reopening of the Strait of Hormuz remains central to the deal. The comments came amid heightened tensions, conflicting signals from Tehran, and the growing scrutiny in Washington over the conflict. Meanwhile, U.S. said that its forces conducted self-defense strikes on Iran's Qushm Island and defeated multiple Iranian missiles and drones as civilian vessels and regional allies Kuwait and Bahrain came under attack. Kuwait's military said that the air defense system intercepted incoming drones and missiles, while Bahrain's interior minister said that warning sirens were activated. Earlier, Iranian media reported that explosions were heard in the vicinity in the Qushm Island. And U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio is facing a litany of questions from the Senate of Trump and his administration's foreign policy. During the hearing, Marco Rubio has spoken about truce talks with Iran and has also said that what is impending in the talks. Let's go across and listening.
Now, we are in talks, and I say talks because talks with Iran are not like talks with Switzerland, okay? They're very different. They require the use of intermediaries, unfortunately. But there is the prospect before us, which could happen today, it could happen tomorrow, it could happen next week, that for the first time, certainly in my memory, they have agreed to negotiate aspects of their nuclear program that just a month ago, or just a year ago, they were refusing to even mention, much less enter into discussions about. That is not a guarantee that ultimately it will lead to a deal that's acceptable to the Senate or acceptable to the American people. But we'll be able to engage them in a process to truly test the proposition of how far they're willing to go. Complicating that process, unfortunately, is their internal regime is somewhat fractured in the sense of it takes days to get responses from their system. We can go into more depth in your follow-up questions. But we're hopeful that something like that could happen, in which the straits would reopen, we would enter into a period of negotiations on very specific topics, delineated negotiations, in the hope of reaching an outcome that's acceptable to us and something that they would be able to do as well. If it doesn't work out, then obviously we still have a problem with respect to their nuclear ambitions. But what they won't have is the conventional shield to hide behind any longer.
And testifying before the Senate Foreign Policy Committee, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said that the ultimate decision regarding the Russian waiver would be made by the Department of Treasury, but that would like to end the sanction waiver granted to countries purchasing Russian oil, contending that these measures were time-limited to ease the global supplies in the wake of Iranian war.
China refines oil. They import a lot, but they refine oil. And
but they also benefit from Russian oil. But my question for you is, can you commit not to extend the general license again when it expires on June 17th?
Well, that ultimately is a decision that's made by Treasury, but I will tell you it depends on the circumstances at the time. We would like to end it as soon as we possibly can because the underlying policy of this country has been to sanction their oil. These are time-limited waivers for the purpose of opening up more global supply.
And well, Anthropic is significantly expanding access to its advanced cybersecurity-focused AI model, Mythos, bringing another 150 organizations across 15-plus countries into its Project Glasswing initiative. Now, the move comes amid growing concerns that increasingly powerful AI tools could both strengthen cyber defenses and accelerate vulnerability discoveries by the bad actors. Anthropic says partners have already identified more than 10,000 high and critical security flaws as the company prepares for a potential IPO and broader international rollout. And Microsoft is making a bigger push into the proprietary AI models, unveiling its first dedicated coding model and a new reasoning model at its Build conference. The move signals Microsoft's intent to reduce dependence on OpenAI and lower AI costs for developers by running more workloads on its own Azure infrastructure. The company says its latest model can outperform leading alternatives on the same enterprise task while delivering significantly better cost efficiency. And Goldman Sachs CEO David Solomon says markets remain firmly in greed mode, with investors showing a strong appetite for AI-linked capital raises despite concerns over the massive upcoming IPOs and equity offerings. Solomon believes liquidity remains abundant and pointed to Alphabet's successful $80 billion fundraising plan as evidence that the markets can absorb large AI-related issuances. He added that the current AI boom may still be in its early stages, although the investors' exuberance can quickly reverse if the sentiment changes. And Marvell Tech surged more than 32%. It's the biggest ever single-day gain after NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang called it the next $1 trillion company. Huang highlighted Marvell's critical role in AI infrastructure, particularly its networking and connectivity chips that link thousands of processors inside massive AI data centers. The rally comes as NVIDIA deepens its relations with Marvell through a $2 billion investment. And the Trump administration has proposed a fresh 25% tariff on Brazilian imports under Section 305, alleging a range of unfair trade practices that hurt U.S. commerce, and the move revives trade tensions between the Washington and the Brasilia, despite recent talks between President Trump and Lula. The proposed duties cover concerns ranging from intellectual property protection and ethanol market access to anti-corruption reinforcement and illegal deforestation. A public hearing is scheduled for 6th of July before any final decision.